Thank you very much, Senator Sullivan. Senator Scott, please.
I want to thank both of you for your service, and I wish you the best of luck in your retirement. I hope you move to Florida. You'll enjoy the weather and the taxes. General McKenzie, I'm hearing that Middle Eastern fighters are right now joining the Russians and attacking Ukraine. Do you have any knowledge that this is true?
We believe that out of Syria, there are perhaps very small groups of people that may be trying to make their way to Ukraine, but I've got nothing beyond that, and I can talk a little more about that in the closed session. Very small. Right now, it's a very small trickle.
Okay. General McKenzie, the State Department says there's about 182 citizens left in Afghanistan to evacuate. Do you know if that's accurate, and is there anything CENTCOM's doing to help them?
So the number I'm tracking is about 153 U.S. citizens and about 2,100 long-term permanent residents that are there. Some people want to come out, some people don't want to come out. It's my understanding that if someone wants to leave and they're a U.S. citizen, they're going to be able to leave. And we have regularly scheduled flights that actually fly. CENTCOM is prepared to repatriate them when they come to what we would call a lily pad in the theater, whether that's in Qatar or in UAE, where they can be medically assessed and moved on, back to the United States if they're an American citizen. And we are fully prepared to support the lead agency in this, who is the Department of State.
Thank you. What has Central Command been doing to punish ISIS-K for the killing of our military personnel at Abbey Gate? And right now, do you think the ISIS-K is getting stronger under the Taliban or weaker?
I think we are concerned about the developmental trajectory of ISIS-K in Afghanistan. And in the closed session, I can talk a little bit more about what we're looking at when we look into Afghanistan, in particular at the ISIS elements that were associated with that attack.
All right. Move on to the Iran deal. It appears, and you talked to Senator Blackburn a little bit about this, that about $90 billion in sanctions relief might be awarded to the Iranian government, which then they'll be able to use to ferment more terrorism. So if that happens, what resources would CENTCOM have and our allies have to put up to be able to fight these proxies?
So, Senator, I've got to be honest with you. I'm not an economist. I'm not familiar with the economic impacts of that deal. I would say this, from where I sit, the number one objective that I've been given is we don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And it would seem to me that approaching that through a diplomatic solution would be the best way to get to that end. I recognize there are second-order effects that might proceed from that in terms of sanctions relief, and I acknowledge that.
Good. You spoke a little bit earlier about more cooperation with Israel. Are there things that we need to be doing in the NDAA that would help make sure we continue to expand our opportunities with Israel?
So I think right now we're in a pretty good place in terms of cooperation with Israel. As the latest member of the Central Command area of responsibility, I think I have all the authorities and permissions I need to move forward on that.
Okay, Joe Townsend. If you look at these maps, you can see Communist China's got a lot of goals, has quite a few goals in Africa. One's to continue to develop military bases. So if they're continuing to be able to develop more military bases, including the one in Equatorial Guinea, what threats will that pose to the United States?
Senator, I can be more specific in closed session. Look forward to that. But suffice to say, they're not on the Atlantic coast of Africa. That's going to put them several thousand miles closer to the U.S. homeland if they get a base on the Atlantic coast of Africa.
So this is a general question for both of you. We've watched with the Ukraine situation, and we've been able to do sanctions against Russia, which it sure seems like that could have a positive impact and hopefully reduce their ability to, fund the war effort. How important do you think it is when we have an adversary, whether it's Russia or China or Iran, that we do everything we can to make sure they don't have the resources to continue to develop, and we should do everything we can to make sure that our citizens are not dependent on them for any resources, such as, in China's case, pharmaceuticals, things like that. Do you think this is important and makes your job easier if we're not dependent on other countries?
Senator, it makes my job a lot easier if we have a whole-of-government approach to the problems that we confront. The Department of Treasury, all the economic power of the United States, all the diplomatic power of the United States is wielded in concert and preferably as a substitute for the military element of power. That's by far the most effective way to obtain our goals.
I can't say it better than that.
Yeah. And do you think our military power should be the last thing we use?
I think yes, as a general principle, we have far more effective tools to address these problems. The military element of power should be in support of all other elements of U.S. national power.
I agree.
Thank you.